Hi, I'm Ed. Today we're going to make homemade pasta sauce, version 1. Okay, so homemade pasta sauce is extremely easy to make, and it's a lot of fun because you can just fool around with the ingredients. There's no hard and fast rules. Pretty straightforward. Obviously we're going to use tomatoes. I use whole canned peeled tomatoes, and then I smush them up with like a wooden spoon in the pot as they're cooking, and that way you can get any consistency you want, very chunky or a little bit smoother. We start with we're going to saute some shallots and garlic in the pot first with a little olive oil, and then we're going to add some, our little dry spices. Most of the stuff I use is dry, and we'll see that here in 1 second. So just chop this up pretty fine. In our dry spices, we're going to use a little bit of salt, a little fresh ground pepper, and I'm making this for 1 can of tomatoes. Obviously, if you had more, you could adjust the amounts. I like a lot of dry basil, so it's like a tablespoon or more of dried basil. Just a little tiny bit of oregano. It's very pungent. I kick it up with a little bit of red pepper flakes, and that's it. So we're going to saute the onion and the garlic first. Then we're going to put in our tomato sauce, our tomatoes, and I reserve a little bit of the pasta liquid, which helps thicken the sauce a little. And then we just boil it down until we get whatever consistency we want. Okay, over to the pot. Alright, so we've just heated up a couple tablespoons of our extra virgin olive oil. And right away, before it gets too hot, I'm going to put in our shallots. I use shallots. You could use a regular small onion if you wanted to. All we're going to do is heat that up just for 30 seconds, let the fragrances come out. You do not want to brown the garlic or anything, so you got to be careful on this. Alright, so it smells good. You start putting in the tomatoes and the pasta stock. So as I told you, the tomatoes are whole right now, but as we go, I actually start cutting them up, knife and fork, and smashing them with a spoon. Just whatever consistency we want. They will break down with the heat, so you don't have to get them into little pieces yet. You can even smush them with like a potato masher, like for mashed potatoes, if you have one, or a stick blender. We just bring this back up to a boil and add our dry spices, the basil, hot pepper flakes, a little bit of salt and pepper. You can adjust that later. If you don't have fresh garlic, by the way, you could use powdered garlic powder and onion powder. Sometimes if you're out of those, this is a great dish you can just make with what's in the spice cabinet, which is a nice thing. As you can see, I like mine with I love basil and tomato, so this is kind of very basil-y. So we'll just let that boil down for a few minutes until we get a nice thicker consistency. If it's still too thin, we can add a little tomato paste at any time. Be back in a minute. Now that it's back to a boil, I just wanted to show you if you had a potato masher, you could just smush them a little bit and even out the consistency, the texture. Like I said, I usually just smash them with a spoon because I like it very chunky, but I just wanted you to see what this looks like. There we go. Very good. Alright, so we've let our sauce boil down for about 10 minutes. As you can see, it's pretty thick right now. I'm just going to put the spaghetti back in here. Turn off the heat. If this was not a big open pan like that, I would have let it boil down a little bit longer. Just stir it together. If the pasta is nice and al dente, it'll finish cooking now and soak up the last of the liquids. And we are ready to serve this up. bowl. It's looking good. Okay, here we are all plated up. Final step, just a little Parmigiano Reggiano, and we're ready to serve. Bon appetit!